Lust is bad. Oh, that shit annoys me so fucking much. Lust is bad. Oh my god, lust is so bad. Bro, without lust, the human race would never have made it past the Stone Age. Bro, no organism would survive without lust, okay? So, first off, let's start there. It is completely normal to have lust. If you have lust, it means you are a sexual creature. That's all it means. That's it. It means you are a sexual creature. You don't need to try to be turning yourself into someone that is asexual. That doesn't make sense. Like, if you're asexual, then be asexual, that's fine. But if you're like, if you are in fact sexual, then why are you trying to turn yourself into someone that's not sexual? Just admit that you're sexual and enjoy it. Like, being sexual is fun. Sexuality is fun. It is legitimately fun. And if you're lying to yourself if you think it's not fun, maybe you've had bad experiences, that doesn't mean it's bad altogether, you know. And, you know, I know people who, oh my god, I grew up in the Southern Baptist Christian community, so I'm very familiar with this. Like, people who are, like, so ashamed of themselves, especially men, so ashamed of themselves for, like, having sexual desires, for, like, wanting to look at porn. Like, that is literally, like, one of the most normal habits you could have would be looking at porn and masturbating. It really doesn't get more normal than that. Literally every single creature in the world would do that if they were in our shoes. Like, there's nothing pious or holy about never jerking off or never thinking about sex. Like, you're just trying to neuter yourself. Like, why not just go chop your balls off at that point? Like, your body is if you're a dude, your body is going to be making sperm pretty much for the rest of your life. So as a result of that, you know, you're going to be a sexual creature. It's literally in our DNA. You are insane, and it makes no sense for you to deny your own sexuality. It makes no sense. You know, people who, like, can try to control the amount of times they masturbate per day. Why? Why? Like, oh, there's this thing that is really fun and brings me a lot of pleasure, and really doesn't have any downsides. Let me just never do that. That makes no sense. It makes no sense. Masturbation is a beautiful thing. And I'm not just saying that. It literally is. Sex is a great thing. You're like, oh, well, if you masturbate too much, you know, you're not going to be able to, you know, have sex or whatever. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. And if you can't bring yourself to have sex with a particular girl, it's not anything to do with your masturbation. It's because the girl's not hot enough. Because I've been there. I've been there. It was nothing to do. It was nothing to do with my, the frequency of my masturbation. It was more so a combination of the girl actually not being that hot and me kind of just being desperate, kind of. And combined with my shame surrounding sex that I was raised with. So, like, if you think there's downsides to masturbation, you're wrong. There's not. There's literally not. Like, I remember I worked with a guy who was, he was big on, like, semen retention. Like, oh, it's the most pleasurable experience you can have, so you should try to put it off as long as possible. I was like, what? That makes no sense. Like, it's not like you can only do it once and never again. You can do it, like, just about as often as you want to. So why would you not do it? Like, the more you just, like, the more you force yourself to not masturbate, the fewer times you're going to be able to masturbate for your whole life, you know? Like, you're never going to get those days that you didn't masturbate back. So that's why my New Year's resolution and my resolution for life going forward is to masturbate as much as possible. Like, literally, why wouldn't I? I think if you're advocating for people to masturbate less, you got a insecurity, you got a problem. Like, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. Like, masturbating is fun in the same way that video games are fun. Like, I guess if you decide to play video games instead of going to work and making money, and you like do that for a year and you become homeless, I mean, that's an interesting decision. Okay, but that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. There's the same thing with masturbation too. That's not gonna happen, bro. And I remember I had another friend who was like, he was convinced that his pornography addiction was what destroyed him and his relationship. And, you know, I didn't really put much thought into it at the time. I just kind of agreed with him. But I've had a lot of time to kind of think about these, like, status quos that we've been raised with, where I'm from. It's fucking fly, bro. And that is not the reason that the relationship failed. Honestly, the reason his relationship failed is because he had a higher sex drive than his girlfriend. So yeah, obviously, like, if you're wanting to have sex 10 times a week and your girlfriend only wants to have sex 1 time a week, you know, you can't just fucking sit there. You can't just fucking sit there and twiddle your thumbs and be as happy as you want to be, you know. Because deep down, you know you want to be having sex more often than that. You want to be having sex 10 times a week, not 1 time a week. And if your girlfriend only wants to have sex 1 time a week, that's fine. If you want to have sex 10 times a week, that's fine, you know. You're just going to accept that there's going to be differences there, and that you're probably not going to be compatible. But that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with her necessarily. Where it becomes a problem is when you start shaming yourself for having completely normal and natural desires. Like, sex is not bad at all, ever. Really. Sex is just sex. Now, I mean, what's bad is coercion. But that's not a problem of sex. That's a problem of coercion. The sex isn't the bad part there. It's coercing somebody. Like, sex isn't bad. You know, what's bad is not planning ahead. Not having a plan, you know, and then getting pregnant and going through the pregnancy and having kids. That is probably, that's not so good, necessarily. You know, that can make life a lot harder. But the sex itself, there's nothing wrong with the sex itself. The sex itself isn't the problem. And there's nothing wrong. What's fucking crazy to me is this whole, people are so anti-porn. It is weird. It is literally just naked people. It's just naked people connecting parts of their body. That's what it is. It's not like terrorism, which is crazy to me that we're so adamant about not letting kids see porn. But, you know, if kids see like a Live Leak video, if kids see the Funky Town video, what happens, you know? It's like, what? I would way rather my kids see porn than see like the ISIS execution videos, you know, or people getting hanged in Mexico. You know, I would rather my kids see porn. Literally, all porn is naked people. It's your species just being naked and doing sex stuff. And the only reason your kid would ever be interested in that stuff would be if they are a sexual person, which most people are. So if your kid is like 13, 14 or whatever and interested in porn, it means they're normal. It means they're a normal functioning human creature. Okay? It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. You know, so it really doesn't make sense. When you spend more than 5 minutes thinking about it, you're like, oh, this really doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, Videos of people killing each other on Instagram, that is totally fine. You know, these videos of violence, totally fine. But videos of two consensual people having sex, oh my God, no, 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 no. Videos where literally no one is being harmed. Oh my God, no. Where two people are literally enjoying themselves and having fun. Oh, no, no, no. Videos where someone is killing an innocent person. Videos where someone is driving a car through a crowd of people. Oh yeah, that's fine. That should be on Instagram. That's great. What? And I get that, like, the anti-porn people will be like, oh, well, we shouldn't have those videos either. Yeah, that's not my point. My point is that those should be the things. That should be the thing you're attacking, is those videos of people getting killed and slaughtered and massacred. Not videos of people having fun and having consensual sex, where there's no harm happening at all. Zero harm. Zero. What's going to happen if your kid watches a porn video? They're going to start sexualizing women. They're going to start sexualizing the other gender. Yeah, they are. Like a normal sexual person would do. That is part of being normal. Like, unless your kid is asexual, they are going to do that. Always. 10 out of 10 times, they're going to be sexualizing the opposite gender. That's kind of how people end up having sex at some point in the future. That's kind of how people end up getting married, how people end up getting in relationships. You know, that's how people end up continuing the human species, is by sexualizing the other gender. And for some reason, when people hear that, they're like, oh, sexualizing is bad. Oh my God, it's so bad. No, sexualizing them isn't bad. What's bad is coercion and, like, being violent and disrespectful. Whenever those things start happening, because as a way for you to, like, express your sexuality or whatever, yeah, that becomes a problem, because then you're harming an innocent person. But just sexualizing someone just to sexualize them, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, looking at a girl and being turned on, looking at a guy and being turned on, that is sexualizing them. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like you're not choosing to do that. Somehow people think that's what you were doing. Somehow people think that that's what's happening. That you're going, like, I'm going to look at this girl, I'm going to look at this guy, and I'm going to be turned on. No. That's just your DNA. That's your genetics, making sure that the human species continues. So, I mean, I would hope that most people look at healthy people and are turned on. Like, I would hope so. I mean, I hope people are having sex out there. But it's like, the minute I say that, you're like, oh my God, no, 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 no. And again, of course there's going to be cases. Of course there's cases of rape and sexual assault. I know that happens. But that is not a problem of sex. The sex is not the problem there. The assault is the problem. You know, the coercion and violence is the problem. The sex is not the problem. Like, why are we attacking the sex? People don't need to be having less sex. They need to be less violent. Okay? So you don't need to start telling people to be, oh, these kids need to be less sexual, blah, blah, blah. No, the sexuality is not the problem. The violence is the problem. And if you don't want your kids to have sex, why? You don't want your kids to have fun? Do you not want your kids to have sex, or do you not want them to get pregnant? So there's a big difference. Do you not want your kids to have sex, or do you not want them to have STDs? There's a big difference. You know, you could just talk to your kids about this, maybe. Because your kids, I guarantee you, they already know about sex and all that. Because if you haven't taught them, they're going to learn from somewhere else. Because kids are sexual creatures, too. Because they're humans. Like, and I'm speaking from experience here, because, you know, I remember being a kid and I was just so confused. Because, like, for some reason we were just never allowed to talk about sex in our house. It was weird, and it's like, it's such a normal part of being a human. Like, what is wrong with kids having sex with each other? Nothing. Like, just imagine you could take the STDs and the pregnancy out of it, Imagine that that was impossible. Okay? Now what's wrong with kids having sex? Like 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds having sex. What's wrong with that? Consensually. Nothing. Nothing is wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. They're literally just having fun. But like I've heard so many stories of guys who are kids, like they were kids and like at the age of 14 or 15 they got addicted to porn. No, that you were not addicted to porn in the same way that you're not addicted to eating because you eat 3 times a day. Just because you spend like 1 to 3 hours every day thinking about food, preparing food, that does not mean you're addicted to food. It's literally a normal part of being a person. So like, if you're thinking about sex 1 to 3 hours a day, wanting to do sex, acting out sex, simulating sex, that's just because you're normal, dude. And yeah, maybe you're doing it more than other people. Yeah, in the same way that some people eat more food than other people because they're taller, or they burn calories faster, there are also people who have higher sex drives because that's just their genetics. That's just how they are. But there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is asexual people who are genuinely asexual, trying to force asexuality onto sexual people. There are probably so many religious asexual people out there, or religious people with extremely low sex drives, that think that they are just holy people, that they've just changed, or they've repressed or avoided sexual desires because they're so holy and they've got such a good relationship with God. When in reality, they just have a very low sex drive or no sex drive at all. Like, no, this is actually just the way you are. You're not actually doing anything special here. This is just how you're wired. It's not your doing. And the problem is that these people will look down on people that actually do have normal sex drives, that are actually within the realm of normality, not one of these extremely unsexual people. Like, most people are at least moderately sexual. But these completely asexual people that are in religions, men and women, they look down on these people who are healthy, and young and sexual, and like, oh my God, get away from me, Satan. But it's like, no, you're just boring because that's the way you are. You're just like that. Okay? You don't need to be forcing your boringness onto us. Just like we're not forcing you to be sexual. We're like, if you don't want to be sexual, you don't have to be. No one's trying to make you. I'm not trying to tell you to be sexual if you're not sexual. What I'm saying is, if you are a sexual person and you have sexual desires frequently, quit pretending like you don't have them. Quit repressing them. What's the point? Like, unfortunately, like what I was led to believe growing up in a super Christian house, fuck Christianity, was that if I lean into my sexual desires at all, then I'm going to turn into like a serial rapist or something. Like if I think about sex, I'm going to turn into a rapist. I'm going to become an evil like serial killer or something. Like that was the way they talked about sex at my church and in my house. It's like, oh my God, whatever you do, don't think about sex. If you think about it once, okay, that's fine, but make sure that you don't let that crow roost in the nest. That is your mind. You're a holy temple. Oh my God, banish the sexual thoughts. But like, as I've leaned into my sexuality more and more, all that's happened is that I've started masturbating more and I've started talking to women more. That's all that's happened. Like, becoming more sexual and becoming more violent, that is not it. There's no correlation there. That doesn't happen. Like, the only reason you would become more violent by leaning into your sexuality would be for a completely different reason. That would only be if you were already a violent person to begin with. So like dialing up your sexuality or realizing how dialed up it already is just going to make your life generally more fun. Like you don't even have to necessarily have more sex. You can just jerk off more, masturbate more, finger yourself more. And it's going to be fun. You're going to enjoy it. I promise. It's designed to be enjoyed. There's no downside to it, literally. It's just fucking annoying that we're in the big 26. You know, we're in the 21st century, 2026, and there's still people that are like, oh, sex bad, masturbating bad, don't fap, no fap, don't think sexual thoughts. And the problem is, maybe it's because I'm a guy, and so this is just what's on my feed, but it's always dudes. It's always dudes saying this. It's like, no. You just have a high sex drive because you're a dude. You know, dudes have 10 times more testosterone than women. So yeah, I hope you're not comparing yourself to women, you know, when it comes to sex drive. Because the average guy has got a way higher sex drive than the average woman. So don't think that there's something wrong with you just because you want to have sex more often than your girlfriend does. That's probably the norm in a lot of cases, honestly. You know, you're not evil for wanting to have sex. Another problem is like women and girlfriends who get angry at their boyfriends for wanting to have sex. It's like men are built, any male organism pretty much that has testosterone is built to have a lot of sex. That's like what it's built for, to have a lot of sex. Okay? So don't shame your boyfriend for having the urges he was literally designed to have. You know? And that doesn't mean you have to that doesn't mean you have to have sex with him when you don't want to have sex. That just means you need to realize that there are in fact stark differences between some people's sex drives. And maybe don't get so pissed at your boyfriend for wanting to look at porn or something. Because that's completely normal. That's normal. So I just think it's sad that so many dudes feel ashamed of their sex drive. Like, sometimes I masturbate 4 or 5 times a day. I'm not kidding. And who did I hurt by doing that? Who did I hurt? Me? Someone else? I didn't hurt myself. I enjoyed it. Like, my sleep tonight is going to be better. Oh, you're saying I sexualized women? Yeah, I know. Because I am sexual. I am not asexual. When you are, in fact, a sexual person, you are literally designed to sexualize the other sex. That's how we find mates and reproduce. It's by sexualizing the other sex. It doesn't mean I'm going to go rape them. No. It just means I'm like, you turn me on. There we go, that's it. You turn me on, and I'm going to enjoy your beauty. Doesn't mean I'm going to do any violence. I don't know how. That is a completely separate issue. It is. It really is. Like, rape, sexual assault, those are not sex issues. Those are violence issues. Okay? Sex is not the problem there. It's the violence, forcing someone to do something they don't want to do. That's the problem, not the sex. The sex isn't the problem there. Sex itself is not the problem. The violence, the coercion, the force, that is the problem. Okay? And just by wanting sex does not make you a violent person. Does not make you violent. Does not make you bad. But somehow those two get intertwined. Probably because of religion and purity culture. And, oh, here's a good one. Men being raised in single mother households. Because if your main relationship in life has been with a woman, then yeah, you are probably going to think that you're crazy for having a sex drive that is 10 times higher than hers. Because probably if you get raised by a woman, they're probably never talking about sex, like, ever. Because, you know, you're probably getting to know your mother best whenever she's in her 40s, which is when women are getting closer or already starting menopause, and when their sex drive is at the lowest. So yeah, you're going to think you're crazy if you're trying to talk about sex and you're having sexual thoughts, but your mom is over here not talking about it for decades. Not even once. Whereas, you know, if you would have been raised with a man in the household, he could have told you, oh yeah, I'm in my 40s, I'm your dad, and I'm still horny as fuck. And yeah, I just accept that I'm not going to get to have sex with my wife, probably except for once a year. So that's why we have an agreement where there's this 30-year-old girl that I like, and I have sex with her every once in a while. You know, there's definitely marriages like that out there. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Because it is possible to be sexually attracted to someone without actually wanting to be in a relationship with them. And that's perfectly normal. That's literally how our bodies are designed as men, is to have sex as much as possible. Not necessarily with only one person. Like, our bodies are just not designed for monogamy. They're not. Like, in a structured society, yeah, monogamy is nice. Monogamy is like, it gives us structure, you know, so that we can have kids that don't grow up in broken households. But that doesn't mean that you can't make arrangements, you know. Like, I can be in a committed relationship with my wife, who's like, you know, 40-something years old. Like, I am committed to parenting this child with you, and I'm never going to leave. That doesn't mean that I am okay with never having sex, though. I'm not. If you're never going to have sex with me, I'm sorry, but I do have to take care of my needs and my wants and my health, my sexual health. So I'm going to find someone else that wants to have sex. That doesn't mean I'm leaving you. But you know what happens, probably with divorce and shit, is that women are like, oh my god, my husband doesn't love me anymore because he wants to go have sex with another woman. No, it means that he wants to have sex and you don't want to have sex. That's it. That's what's happening. It's just like how, like, it would be the same thing, like, it would be like saying, oh my god, you know, I don't want to go to the gym and my husband wants to go to the gym. I guess my husband doesn't love me anymore. Like, what? Where did you get that from? And it's because, like, sex and love, they've kind of been intermingled and combined to mean this, to mean that they're the same thing when they're not. They're not the same thing. Sex doesn't always come with love and vice versa. So yeah, I think men should embrace their sexuality, because embracing sexuality doesn't necessarily mean embracing violence. It doesn't. I hope I don't have to keep restating what I've been saying about that. Also, I think everybody is probably a little bit gay, honestly. I don't see how it's possible to be completely 100% straight. I just don't. Because looking at another man and saying, "Oh my God, you know, he's an attractive man," like, that is a sexual thing to say. It just is. So I think everybody is at least like 1% gay. You know, maybe he's not attractive enough for you to want to have sex with him. But you are admitting that he is sexually attractive, because that's what being attractive means. That's what it means. Like, you're a sexually fertile, you know, creature. And to even have that populate in your mind means that for some reason he's on your radar, you know? But again, it doesn't necessarily mean you want to have sex with them. But it does kind of, in a way, it does kind of turn you on. Like, it does excite you to be in that man's presence. And that kind of is a little gay. Just like how there's women that get turned on by a guy, but it doesn't necessarily mean they don't necessarily want to have sex with them, but they're still attracted to him. And so, I kind of realized that, yeah, I am bi. Now, do I want another dude ramming his cock in my ass? I don't think so. But would it really be that horrible to get a blowjob from a dude? I mean, you got to consider the fact that they're probably going to be way better at it than a girl would. Probably. Like, the person that's best at giving a blowjob is probably a gay dude. Or just, a dude, period. Like, I'm talking to the dudes here. You telling me if, I don't know, Henry Cavill or prime Leonardo DiCaprio, if you guys are just in a room hanging out, you wouldn't even give him a kiss or something? Nothing? Come on. If he offered, would you say no? Really? Come on. And if there were no repercussions or anything for just doing a little makeout session with Leonardo DiCaprio, you're telling me you wouldn't do that? I would do it. I would. I mean, it makes sense though. Like, it makes sense that dudes would end up having sex with each other, considering how high, like, their sex drives are, you know. Just by the fact that at some point you probably just, like, if you're in a relationship with a girl, you're going to have a point where she just doesn't want to have sex and you do, and that's probably going to happen a lot. And you're probably just going to want to explore. You're going to want to explore. And there's probably a lot of old dudes out there that can't get younger girls. And like there's probably 70-year-old dudes out there, 60-year-old dudes, that they're not quite attractive and rich enough to, like, attract any, like, 30-year-old or 20-year-old girls. But they're also not really able to attract any 40-year-old women, because most of those women don't even want to have sex that often. And do you really want to be going between, one 40-year-old to a 50-year-old woman to a 40-year-old woman just to keep your schedule filled? Probably not. So I bet there's probably a lot of 60-year-old, 65-year-old, 70-year-old dudes out there that just end up having sex with other dudes, because kind of your options probably get pretty limited. But, like, there's nothing wrong with any of that. That would be fun. That'll probably be me someday, honestly. Like, what is the point in being, like, anti-sex and or even, like, anti-gay? Why? It's literally just people having fun. Literally just people having fun. You can be anti-violence, anti-coercion, anti-forcing people to do something that they don't want to do. Yeah, you can be against that. But that's not a sex issue. That's a violence issue. Again, it's not that people need to be having less sex. So yeah, I'm gonna try to watch more porn and watch more porn and masturbate more. That's like my midway through the year resolution. Because there's nothing wrong with it. Sorry guys, there's nothing wrong with it. And if you're a girl saying that there is something wrong with it, no there's not. You just have a really low sex drive, okay? So quit telling people with high sex drives what to do, because you are, in fact, you're a completely different creature in that regard. You're completely different. It's like you being a regular person trying to tell LeBron James how to play basketball. Like you can't even begin to really understand. You have there's nothing for you to teach, okay? And so when it comes to sex, if you're a girl and your dude is horny, do not tell him to be less horny. Do not shame him for being horny. Okay? Again, I'm not condoning violence here or anything. I'm just saying, if your dude wants to have sex, understand that it's not because there's something wrong with him. It's not that there's anything wrong with you. It's just that women have lower sex drives than men. Okay? That's it. Nothing is wrong with either of you guys. You guys can come to an agreement or figure out that you're not compatible. Come to a disagreement. Because, I don't know, if I got trapped in a relationship, if I was in a trapped in a relationship, that's not really a thing anymore. But if I was in a relationship with a girl, and like I said, I wanted to have sex 10 times a week. She wants to have sex 1 time a week. And this is just how it is, perpetually. But then she also doesn't want me to watch porn, and she also doesn't want me to ever talk to other women in any regard. I'm sorry, that relationship... And she doesn't want me to, like, jerk off on my own. Or she doesn't want me to jerk off to pictures of naked women, or just attractive women in general. Then, yeah, I'm sorry, that relationship is not going to work out. It's not. I mean, we can maybe look into a business partnership or something like that. Or we can like we can play pickleball together or something, but we can't have an actual relationship. We can have a friendship maybe, but not a relationship. And so the problem with religion is it tries to make everyone the same. It tries to make everything uniform and flat. And the truth is, I think humans, the one way that we differ a lot from other creatures is I think we actually, this is like a very profound statement that I'm making. That was a little life-changing for me. Humans are actually not that similar at all. We're actually very, very, very different from each other. Like, I know we say no two people are the same, but you can't use the no two snowflakes are the same. You can't use that analogy, because the only difference between the snowflakes is that they've just got, the branches are just going this way instead of this way. But with humans, it's you got this dude that has this set of beliefs, and this dude that has this set of beliefs, and literally every single one of them is different, and their lives are completely different. Sure, we all eat, shit, and sleep, but other than that, we're all pretty much completely different. We are all pretty much completely different. None of us are really that close to being the same at all. And I think that's a really, really, really good thing to realize, because it really allows you to be yourself. It takes away the pressure to be similar, because you think, well, everybody is so alike. If that's your belief that you have about the world, that everybody is so similar, and you only see the similarities between everybody, then you're going to be scared to be different. But whenever you realize that we actually are more different than we are similar, then being different becomes fun. It becomes the norm. So it doesn't have to be a bad thing having differences, and having differences with each other. It's not a bad thing. It's normal. That is in fact the norm. Being the same as everyone else, that is not normal or healthy. That is just unhealthy conditioning that has been pressed onto us, because everyone being different was an inconvenience to people that were in power. A lot of parents didn't like raising kids that were different from them, because it was threatening to their identity. But anyways, what I was saying about religion is the problem with that is that religions want to make everybody the same. They believe that we're all the same, and we're not. We're not the same. We're all very, very different. We all want very different things, and we all have different ways of getting the things we want. We don't want to just have the same template. Like, we don't want to have the same life as someone else. Like, yeah, sure, maybe like I want to be in a relationship and this guy also wants to be in a relationship. But the way we go about doing that is completely different. And the way he wants his relationship to look and the way I want my relationship to look are completely different. Like, humans are very, very unique creatures in that regard, like how different we are. Like, my wardrobe, my closet is completely different, and I wouldn't want it to be more similar to anyone else's closet. I like the clothes I have, you know? And you can really look at your life even more, like lean into that. Like, yeah, you're right, my wardrobe is completely unique. There's no one else that has this exact set of clothes in their closet, you know? The way I have my room arranged is unique. Like, there's not people that have this guitar rack right here and then the desk like this, and they need their monitor set up like this to best fit them, and they like the lamp right there and their laundry basket right there and there. Like, when you really start to look into the specifics of it, it's like, oh my god, no, I actually am very different from everybody else, and everybody else is different from everybody else. And I wouldn't want it to be any other way. Like, I like these specific differences that I have from other people. I like the way my room looks. Like, I don't like having a clean room. I just don't. And what is wrong with having a dirty room? Like, I don't have rats in my room that are giving me a virus. The only thing that's dirty is that I just have clothes on the floor that I haven't hung up in some empty bags. And, you know, my mother would look at that and be like, oh my god, you're a slob. Who cares? No one is getting hurt. No one is getting hurt here. But yeah, with religion, it's like everybody has to be the same. Everyone has to be the same. And in order for everyone to be the same, our habits have to look the same. Our marriages have to look the same. You have to follow the rules of marriage in this book, or else something bad is going to happen. You're going to go to hell and burn forever in this imaginary place. But that's the thing about marriage and relationships. Like, you can get married if you want to get married. You can be in a relationship if you want to be in a relationship. But you also don't have to do either of those things. And just because you're in a marriage, that doesn't mean you have to be faithful to the specific... It doesn't mean you have to... It doesn't mean that your marriage has to look exactly the same as everyone else's marriage. Like, maybe for your marriage, you guys live in separate houses, or you sleep in separate bedrooms, or in the same bedroom but in different beds. Maybe it looks like you live in separate houses, and your kids go and stay with dad this week, and next week they're with mom, because you guys like being parents. We also like being independent and having breaks. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, maybe the way it works out is, you know, mom realizes that, in fact, my husband has sexual needs that I just can't fulfill. I can't keep up with it, and I don't really want to. But I do still want to have him around. I want to be friends with him, and I want to parent these kids together. So we're going to come to an agreement where, you know, we might as well stay married. Like, we still are on good terms, and we agree on most of the principles of being parents. But if he wants to go and have sex with a 30-year-old, you know, or he wants to go have sex with a girl that has a high sex drive, you know, and they're both consenting and they both enjoy it, and he's still going to be in my kids' lives and he's still going to talk to me, what is wrong with that? Nothing. Like, your life doesn't have to look like other people's lives. Your life is for you. Your life is for you. It's not for anybody else. So, like, why make your life more boring? Why make your life boring? Like, the specific things that you like that other people might not like as much, those are the specific things that are going to make your life fun the more you lean into them. And not leaning into them is just going to make your life boring. So again, you got to lean into this idea that actually we are more different than we are similar when it comes to being a human. Like, when you really, like, if you were to look at everyone's specifications on a spreadsheet, you'd be like, oh my god, like, we are completely different. Like, we have completely different ways that we want our life to go. And you really have to lean into that. Because then the more you lean into that, the more that comparison literally just becomes pointless. Because you become like a rock comparing yourself to a pair of scissors. Like, that is really, that is how different two humans can be. Two people's experiences of life can be. Like, we're not comparable to ants, really. I know I've used that example in the past. We're really just not. We're not comparable to ants or snowflakes or dogs or cats. We're completely different. We're spread out all across the entire planet. We all there are millions of different jobs that you can do. When it comes to being an ant, there's like 3 different jobs you can do as an ant. Okay. So we gotta, like, in some ways, yeah, we still got our primal instincts. Like being sexual creatures and stuff, and eating, shitting, and sleeping. But besides that, we're all very different. Honestly, we're all very, 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 very different. So stop expecting yourself to be similar to other people, and stop expecting other people to be similar to you. Like, we should not all agree on everything. We shouldn't even all agree on like a lot of things if we're still like if we're normal, if we're actually leaning into our differences. But yeah, it's like, it feels like my life hasn't really started because I haven't leaned into my differences, my individual uniqueness at all, really, for my whole life. Because I've been like, well, no one else is being like this. Yeah, that's the point. No one else is being like them either. Like, it seems like other people are similar to each other, but that's just, you're just seeing them in this one particular situation. Like, just because 2 people live in a house next to each other, and the 2 houses look similar to each other, that doesn't mean that those people's lives are similar at all. Just like 2 people going to the same school doesn't mean that they're similar. 2 people working in the same job doesn't really mean that they're similar. So it's like, yeah, you're alone in the world. That's how it's supposed to be. That means that you're free. That's a good thing. Being alone is free. It means that's such a good thing to be alone. Like, it's not bad at all to be alone. To be alone is to be free, honestly. If you're afraid of being alone, why? Is there going to be a tiger that comes and eats you if you're by yourself? No. What makes humans special is we don't really need each other that much. You don't. Like, I don't have to be in a particular tribe for me to be able to eat every day. Like, we figured out a way around that, and we're never going to go back to that. So just lean into being yourself. It's not going to result in you, like, losing access to food, assuming we're in a first world country, like, because I realize some of the things I'm saying, like, you have to be very privileged to be, and lucky just to be in a first world country where differences are encouraged, freedom is encouraged, because I can't in good conscience tell someone that's gay in a Middle Eastern country to lean into their gayness. I can't do that. Because that's probably not going to be good for their safety. But if you are in a first world country where you do have rights, lean into it. Because in those cases, it's not actually the law stopping you. It's not like other people stopping you. It's just your conditioning from your upbringing that is stopping you. It's probably just the 2 parents you have that are stopping you. That's probably what it is. Your family members stopping you. But other people aren't stopping you. Other people generally want to see other people succeed. And maybe you are in a third world country or a second world country. I think this is still a good message that there's nothing wrong with you, And there's not necessarily anything wrong with your oppressors either. Like, there's nothing wrong with them being straight, and there's nothing wrong with you being gay. The only, problem here is just the violence. That's the problem. But there's nothing wrong with them as a person. There's nothing wrong with anyone as a person. The problem is when you start using your violence to keep other people from being themselves as a person. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, you're supposed to be different from everybody else because everybody is different from everybody else. Every single person. It's not just you that's different. Everybody is different, whether they want to admit it or not. Some people are just scared to show their differences. But not showing your differences doesn't actually mean that you're similar to other people. It just means that you're scared to admit that you're different. It just means that you're repressing who you are. So lean into your differences as much as you can, while still remaining safe. Like, it's just conditioned insecurity that makes people want to force their lifestyle into other people's lifestyles. That it's their insecurity. They're hungry to have some control and power over other people because they feel like they don't have control over themselves. And the thing is, you're not supposed to have control over yourself. Why would you? Because think about it. Do you want to be controlled by someone? No, you don't. No one wants to be controlled by someone. So why would you try to control yourself? That would mean that someone is controlling you. You are someone, are you not someone? So if you're controlling yourself, that means that someone is controlling you. That's not normal. Like, you shouldn't be sitting there saying, oh, nope, I don't want this part of me, no. Yes, I'll take this part of me, yes. No, you shouldn't be controlling yourself at all. You should be leaning into who you are as a person. You shouldn't be having to enact force on yourself. The only reason you would have to do that is if you hated yourself. And that's not normal. So, yeah, the idea that you need to enact self-control is ridiculous. No, you don't. I think usually the problem is actually that people are just not in touch with themselves at all. They don't know themselves. They're not in touch with their feelings. And so, sometimes people, like, instead of managing your anger, as it comes up in specific situations, you repress your anger over and over and over again until it just builds up and you end up hurting someone or you end up hurting yourself. And all of that was a result it was not a result of not having self-control. It was a result of controlling yourself too much. It was the result of having self-control. It was the result of controlling yourself. You shouldn't be controlling yourself. Why would you want that? Why would you want someone controlling you? That makes no sense. It makes no sense. So, yeah, why would you want to? How can you expect to like yourself if you're going to be the dictator, the biggest dictator and the biggest authoritarian in your life? Like, why would you like being with yourself if you're constantly trying to control yourself? That's not a good thing. That is not a good experience to feel controlled. What is a good experience is to allow yourself to be free. Think what you want to think. Feel what you want to feel. Feel the feelings that are there. Feel what is there. Feel everything. Try to control yourself. Try to control your feelings and your thoughts as little as possible. You're not going to be happy. Like, people don't beat their wives and beat their kids because they don't have enough self-control. They do that because they do have self-control. Because they're constantly controlling themselves, that they feel like they're stuck and they have no freedom. They feel unhappy. Because why would you feel happy if you're being controlled by someone? AKA yourself. Why would that make you happy? Because to be happy is to be free. Free people are happy people. Happy people are free people. People who feel like they're free to be themselves. Who are okay with being them. Okay with their feelings. Those are the happy people in the world. People who are just accept themselves the way they are. Who are okay with their emotions and their feelings and what they do, what they say. It's the people that are always hyper analyzing themselves and trying to control every aspect of their own behavior, those people are not happy. Why would you like that? Why would that be fun? Does that really sound fun? Does self-control sound fun? No, it doesn't. So yeah, why would you expect to be having a fun life when you're constantly trying to control every aspect of your behavior and every aspect of your life? That is literally slavery. Like, you're trying to enslave yourself to yourself. That's not fun. Like, that's even worse than slavery to another person, because you can't escape yourself. It's not possible. Like, you can escape another person. You can escape slavery from another person, but you can't escape slavery from yourself easily. You can't run away from yourself. That's what people need drugs for, and on and on and on and on and on. So don't try to enslave yourself to yourself. That is a horrible thing to do. But guess what religion does? It does that. It tries to force you to make yourself into something, to fit a certain mold. And nobody enjoys that. Nobody enjoys being forced into a mold that they don't fit into. The only people that enjoy religion are people who just enjoy it naturally. Who that's just what they want to do. That's just who they are. That's fine. If you want to be a religious person and believe all that stuff, that's fine. But that doesn't mean your kids have to believe it. Just like because you like basketball, that doesn't mean that your kid has to like basketball. They can like tennis, or they can just not like sports at all. There's nothing wrong with that. So, it's fine. If you want to be religious, but there's no sense in forcing other people to be like you, because we aren't alike. We're all different. We are all very, 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 very different. Like, we're not supposed to be similar. We're not. If everyone is the same, if everything seems like it's uniform among humans, something is wrong. Something is wrong. We should not all be wearing the same colors, the same shirts, the same styles, the same hairstyles. We shouldn't be. That's not who humans are. That's how cattle are. And humans are not cattle. We're the most unique creatures ever. Ever. We are all so different. So, to try to force someone to be a certain thing is to just... What you're doing is you're just making the world more boring. That's what you're doing. Because what makes life interesting and fun is seeing the different things that people are able to create. Seeing what different people do with themselves. Live and let live, basically. But I think it helps to explain why we should live and let live, like I've done here. Because just saying those little statements like that is really not a good explanation at all. It's not an explanation, it's just a statement. And having statements thrown at you is annoying. For people to be like, hey, you need to be like this. Hey, live and let live. Okay? Yeah, let me be. Okay, but why? Well, because we're actually all very, very, very different. And then when you explain that a little more, it makes sense. Oh, that's why you should live and let live. Because we're supposed to be fucking different. We're supposed to be. It's normal. It's normal to be different. Like, that's what... Like, we're not cattle. So you can't expect... Like, forcing yourself to behave like a cattle. Forcing yourself to behave like cattle when you're not cattle is not going to make you happy. Why would that make you happy? You need to start acting like a human, a unique human. That's what humans are. That's what makes humans happy, is being unique, diverse, different. So you need to do that. You need to be like a human, because that's what you are. I'm going to go masturbate now.